My abusive father has somehow found me after disowning me years ago for false accusations. I'm thinking of being petty. So many years ago my ex-girlfriend cheated on me. I found out and confronted her about it, and she got scared and told nearly everybody we knew that I had roped her to cover up her cheating. I was placed in custody during the investigation, however released as there was no evidence. But my parents had already disowned me and most of my friends had distanced themselves from me. I wasn't even proved innocent by a jury, so my parents still believed me to be a rapist who had gotten lucky. My best friend began to help me behind their backs and I ran away. I had nothing to lose as nobody liked or even approached me. My college barred me from attending lessons, only emailing me the work and bringing me in for exams. I went as far away from that town as I could and got an apartment after working in some community jobs for some money and managed to sort of stabilize myself. I decided to change my name after a while because I came to hate looking at it. This helped me start a new slate and I made a few new friends when I went into uni again. I finished my degree in teaching and moved far away to a country on the opposite side of the globe where I live now. I got a nice apartment and settled down in my new job. I eventually met a girl who turned out to become my now wife. I originally couldn't trust her, and after realizing how much patience she had with me, I fell head over heels for her. She eventually gave birth to my twin daughter and son who I adore and will defend to the edge of the universe. Her family got used to me very quickly considering I was a foreigner and not very trusted. They treated me well and I sort of remembered how a loving family actually is. Now I'm living in a nice house with both of my children and wife and we're very happy. That is until last night where I was playing on our PlayStation with my son while my wife and daughter were in the garden. There's a knock on the door and I went to answer it. Seeing the sight on the other side of the door made me want to get sick or pinch myself to make sure this was not a effed up dream. Lo and behold, my father is there. He smiled weakly and began to speak, but I slammed the door so hard I scared my son. I took him to his room and called for my wife to take my daughter to her bed. She was freaking out and so was I. My father kept knocking on the door and I just broke down in the moment. My wife comforted me, then answered the door for me. She asked who he was and he said he was my father. I had given my wife a vague background of me and she had nothing but sorrow for me. She looked mad understandably and began to scream at my father for abandoning me and whatnot. After she calmed down, I told her to let him in and for her to go to our kids' bedroom and keep them busy while I talked to my dad. He said that he was doing my ex-girlfriend a favor by clearing some stuff on her phone, and while he was clearing out some messages on her phone, he saw a conversation between her and the guy she was cheating on me with, basically expressing the guilt for ruining my life and that she wanted to take it all back. My father didn't confront her as he wasn't ready to bring back a dead situation but silently began to hunt for me to tell me that he believed me. I don't even know how he found me, but I don't care cause he's here. Thing is, I don't know what to do. I've considered my options alone after walking through some random streets and I've come to some conclusions, but I'm not sure what the best decision is. Turn him away and tell him to go back to our country and leave me alone. Or reconcile with him and tell my mother. My abusive father has somehow found me after disowning me years ago for false accusations. I'm thinking of being petty. I decided to fly back home and meet up with my family. Not to forgive them, but in order to get much needed closure for myself. So I flew back to my home country and met with everybody involved, my mom, dad, brother and even the girl who accused me of rape and turned me into an outcast. I was nervous of course, but I was shocked when I realized I didn't really see them as family. I recognized them of course, but I didn't see them the way I see my wife, kids and in-laws. My mother started by breaking into tears and trying to apologize, but I just felt disgusted by it. My father comforted my mother and my brother was the one who kept his composure and initiated conversation. He asked me how I was doing and I responded by telling him to cut any small talk and that this meeting was on my terms. I told all of them that I was not looking for reconciliation and I simply wanted closure. I made sure to tell them that I would call the police should they attempt to chase me. I asked my parents why they were so quick to abandon me, even though the police said there was no proof. They said that they made a rash decision and seeing me in custody broke their hearts. I called them out on it since they didn't try to stick up for me, so I then asked about my father looking through my accuser's phone. He said that she came to him to ask him to clear off her phone of non-essential stuff and that's when he saw the chat logs with her friends. My dad was always good with technology, so while it wasn't fulfilling, I accepted it. I then asked my brother why he never contacted me. He looked surprised and said that he did, but I just ignored him all that time. Turns out, he was right. My brother had tried hundreds of times to contact me and give me money to get me off of rock bottom, but questioned why I never answered and assumed that I hated him because of what happened. Well, as it turns out, my mother had my contacts blocked on all of her phone plans as she paid for my brother's old phone plan. So I couldn't even receive help when I was completely lost. Then the cherry on top, my ex, I first asked her why she actually did it. She said that she was scared of what would happen and that she never stopped loving me even throughout it all. She said that every session of therapy made her feel even more guilty as she knew it was all fake. She then told me that she hadn't dated anyone since in hopes that I would come back and she could apologize. Because I'm sorry would really reverse time and fix all of it apparently. Even that was bullcrap because my father said that he found chat logs of 3 different partners she had when I was away. My ex broke down crying and tried to hold my hand. She had the audacity to ask for another chance. This just made me spiteful and I pulled out my phone and began showing all of them hundreds of pictures of my 2 children's milestones and good times my family had together, our visits to cities, their first day of school, both of them and my wife in my arms. I told her that this was what she could have had if she wasn't so stupid, and my parents what they missed out on for not even hearing me out. I had a moment when I thought I had gone too far, but I realized compared to what they did to me, I hadn't. My visit wasn't all miserable though, as I met up with my old best friend and his family. They were happy to see me and I was still grateful for them taking me in when it felt like the whole world was against me. I plan to return to the country one day to show my kids where half of their culture comes from. I won't let them anywhere near my family though. As far as I'm concerned, my only family is my wife and her family and my kids.